Uh, all right, we are officially live. Yay! All right, so welcome everyone. Uh, we are excited about this opportunity to just share with you, have some dynamic mothers. I was gonna say parents, but all these are mothers. So we have some dynamic mothers here, open and willing to share about their process, their experience in getting their babies into college, and even some of the challenges that comes with that. We want to offer some advice. We want to try to answer some questions, but we're going to start off and just kind of put some scenarios. I'm going to have them introduce themselves because I want you to know who these fabulous moms are. They're doing some awesome things in their own space. So please follow them, please support them, because because part of what they're doing can help you on your journey as well. And you never know. Hey, the answer to every problem is always a person. So I ask everyone to just be open. But for those who don't know me, because I forgot, I'm about to have them introduce themselves, and I'm assuming that everybody knows me. So I'm Tamika Williamson, college for free coach, or also known as the college prep boss. And we're coming to just drop some knowledge on you, drop some wisdom as it relates to getting your baby, your scholar, college ready. All right, getting college paid for. What are those lessons learned? So let's okay, device is not. So we're going to go ahead and start with you, Miss Yolanda G. What's up with you?
Hello, parents, and to the panel, this illustrious panel of moms putting their babies in college and through college. I am Yolanda J, or Yolanda Johnson, an entrepreneur just from a small town in Georgia, trying to build hope in men and women and help them build some 6 and 7 figures. That's all I do. I also sell jewelry on the side. I sell a little jewelry on the side too. But I am here in Metro Atlanta, met Coach Tamika, and she literally changed the way I thought about college and sending my baby to college. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. You can follow me on, I think she said, share my handles everywhere on social media as Yolanda J, Yolanda Jay. And I'm going to be relaunching my podcast soon. It's called Hey Girl, Hey with Yolanda J. So you can find us on YouTube and Facebook.
Awesome. Yay. So please you follow her as well, so that you can check out all the exciting things that she's doing. Okay. So Dr. Natasha, come on, my STEM.
Well, hi, everybody. Hi, all the parents. Hi, Dr. Williamson. Hi to every parent on this panel. I'm really glad to be here. I am Dr. Natasha Anderson. You guys can call me the Nerdy STEM Queen. That's how I'm known everywhere. Or Dr. Tasha. My whole job, the thing I love to do is, of course, to promote STEM to Black and brown girls everywhere, because I'm a mechanical engineer, and I really love to reproduce myself, and so I just love to do that. But the other thing that I do is I really want to help support, and really do help support, Black and brown women who are in STEM. As you know, that is a world and an environment that has not been made for us. And so the way sometimes is not easy. It can be really hard and difficult. And so my coaching and consulting work is in and around that area, making sure that Black and brown women are able to thrive and grow, that they learn how to stand up for themselves and stand out in a crowd, in a good way, in their chosen career paths. And so I do that in a myriad of ways. I help business and industry really provide a welcoming environment for women of color. I help women themselves who are moving into that space know what to expect while we're in the business of changing the environment. And then I do that by writing books for little Black and brown girls. I have a podcast that sole focus is on telling the stories of women of color in STEM. It's called Stemming in Stilettos. You can catch it anywhere you're listening to podcasts. So type in Stemming in Stilettos. My books are on Amazon, or my one book is on Amazon. The other book is not out yet, but it's coming out soon. It's called London Gets Curious, and it's all about a little Black girl who gets curious about some unique and special STEM careers. So I'm happy to be here talking about this thing because I'm the proud parent of two teenagers. One who's a 19-year-old getting ready to be a junior in college. Well, she has one more year. She's a junior in years, but she has one more year before she graduates. And so that's a whole nother situation we're in. But Dr. Williamson she changed our lives. I will say that. She changed our lives. So thank you.
I guess I got to unmute myself first. So thank you, Dr. Natasha. All right. So Miss Monica, we're coming to you next. I'm just kind of following the order on my screen.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Monica Person-McDaniels. I am a registered dietitian, master's trained by trade, and I do have a consulting firm called Simply Nutritious Consulting. It's a labor of love, and I usually manifest at local health fairs and speaking engagements. My daughter is currently a senior. Thanks to our College for Free boss over here, she got a full academic ride to Rust College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. She is a STEM girl. Her major is biology, with aspirations to become an orthopedic surgeon. So I learned when she was in ninth grade that high school is not the time to let go of their hand. It's time to hold their hand. And I'm also learning that beyond that, in undergrad, you continue to hold their hand and help them become the best adults they can possibly be. So we're navigating the trek right now and finishing up undergrad, looking for those medical provider relationships to get into the best medical school possible.
Awesome. Yes, we are manifesting that we are getting into medical school and it's getting paid for with these connections we're working on. So awesome. Thank you. Miss Kim, we're going to come to you next.
Okay. I unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, everybody. I am Kim Knight. I am an HBCU grad from Jackson State University. And so thanks to Tamika, my daughter has a full ride to Alabama State. She's a Hornet and she's going into her sophomore year. I found Tamika by way of Monica. And so it changed our lives. And, you know, I'm here to add my 2 cents and to just get people excited about pivoting, because we were one of those ones that, you know, the dream school was disrespectful. And so we found out the pivot was even better than what we thought we were going to get. So that's my take. And former entrepreneur, I don't want to do that no more. So I'm just glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, hilarious. All right, former entrepreneur. Okay, so Miss Doretha, we gotta unmute you.
Hey, yes, I gotta unmute first. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Doretha White, and it's so nice to be online with all of you. I know we live online, but this is a fun conversation. I was enjoying listening to everybody's introductions. Tamika, you and I have known each other a long time, and I was sitting here scratching my head trying to think. Somebody introduced us. I think it was Candace Simmons. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so we've known each other a very, very long time. And Tamika and I are somewhat in a similar space. My husband and I co-own a company called Dream Big Youth Travel. So we take students on college tours and educational field trips nationwide. We've been doing that since 2003. So Kim, I feel your pain. This entrepreneurship life is something else. But yeah, we've been doing this since '03. And speaking of pivoting, of course, when COVID hit, when schools closed, all of the field trips and college tours that we had planned, we had a full calendar for all of spring and summer of 2020. Everything came slammed to a stop. So we did pivot. We started another company called Dream Big Custom Cargo Trailers, and we help entrepreneurs. If you know anybody who needs a food truck, food trailer, or any type of mobile trailer, we do that too. So,
trailers, hair trailers. I mean, I've seen some interesting things. I'm sorry.
yeah, please follow us. We have a woman who's having us build a mobile nail salon. So entrepreneurs are doing all kinds of creative things in this time and space because we have to, right? So yeah, so I'd love to talk to y'all about that, a different conversation. But let's see, I'll mention that my son is a freshman at Howard. Well, no, excuse me. I was gonna say he just got his grades. He's a sophomore. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Tamika. Tamika absolutely held our hands through the process. Because like I said, even though we're in this college space a little bit, the whole scholarship thing was a whole new world for us. My husband and I went to college 100 years ago where you could pay out of pocket. So not so today. So Howard University granted my son a leadership scholarship. So it's about half of his total cost, which is a tremendous, tremendous blessing. So we shout out Miss Tamika every chance we get, because we really appreciate her leading us and holding our hand through the process there. As I said, Tamika, you might not even know this yet. He just got an internship for the summer at Howard University Radio.
No, I don't know that. That's not what he told me last.
Yes, and he's working too. So our little running joke this week was, I said, okay, you need to tell me what your summer plans are. I need to understand what you're going to do. Are you staying up there? Are you coming home? What do you want to do? No, I want to stay in DC. Okay, fine. So what are we going to do? He says, well, I'm going to work 2 days. I'm going to intern 2 days, and I'm going to do me for 3 days. I said, hold up. I think you need to do yourself 1 day. But yes, he's loving life in Washington, D.C., and we are just thankful and grateful. Yes. Thank you, Tamika.
Awesome. See, yes. Okay, so we're going to get into these lessons learned. I see Miss Audra.
Hi.
Thank you, Audra, for joining us, because Audra has an awesome story too. So we're just doing introductions. Tell the world who you are, Miss Audra.
Hi, beautiful ladies. Hi, Dr. Natasha. I see you. Hi, my name is Audra Mac. I am with Diamond in the Rough, a nonprofit organization that mentor young girls ages 4 to 18. I absolutely love what I do to empower young girls. I'm on today to join you ladies to talk about just being a mom and how I have handled the process of my daughter going through college. She graduated a week ago. And I just wanted to share, thank you. I wanted to share some of the journey that we went through and how we were able to get 2 degrees debt-free.
Awesome. So as you can see, the gentlemen, these mothers are more than qualified to have this conversation, because not only are they running their own businesses and doing their own things, but they're also managing the role of being a mom and being there and being supportive of their babies. But in order for them to do these things, there were things they had to do along the way to get their kids to college so that they could have room to do their own things. So let's talk about sacrifice. Let's start there. I try not to give people the impression that we're judging, but I also challenge parents. You gotta work with your kids and challenge them and talk to them about sacrifice and talk to them about the role of becoming an adult. And part of that includes them making those hard decisions about life and paying for college and all those things. When you think about the role of sacrifice in parents right now, who's having this going through this conundrum, you know what, my child want to go to this dream school, but we really don't have the money to do it. Because I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen people talk about they're about to pull money out of their retirement. They're about to get on these expensive payment plans and all these other things. And I get it. You want to do what you can do to help make it possible for your child, but we're not thinking about sustainability. Let's talk about sacrifice. What advice would you give parents around the role of sacrifice in terms of how you've had the sacrifices you made and the payoff you've seen in return?
I think the first hand knowledge is letting them know when the money is coming. It took more than just the parents. We have a very good support system. We have grandparents who sacrifice, and we make no secret about it, about the money, where the money is, and where the money is coming from. And we also set examples for which you have to save. I come from a middle class, both parents in the home, but there was one thing I was not taught, and that was to save money. And that's a lot of African American families that just is not at the top of the list. So when we talk about money, one of the first things we talk about is saving, budget, sacrifice. So much so that when we started getting acceptance letters in and offers in, and I just asked I said, look, if someone in a state far away, remote, gives you a scholarship and they say you have to play in the band, what will you say? She said, I'm gonna ask when did practice starting? So she knew, you get the biggest bang for the buck, and the most economical bang is free. So our goal was always, a free, college education based on her merit, because the price she has to pay is you make the grades, you score the optimal score on the ACT, and that's when you get your reward, which is a free college education. So that's what we kind of drilled in along the way. You do your part, and they will do their part, because the money is out there.
Okay. Awesome. Somebody else was talking.
So I think we kind of looked at it slightly differently. For us, it was for both of our kids. It was first, let's decide what those sacrifices might have to be. Like, what are your interests, right? What are the things that you're saying you really want to do? And I know for some parents, it's like, oh, they're 16, they're 14, they're 17, they don't know. Well, some kids do know. And so before we go down a path, especially if you're talking about college, a path where we're filling out paperwork, we're doing, college applications, and we're signing up for tests, and you don't even want to go to college, right? So it was having those hard conversations. And then for my daughter in particular, it was, okay, how on the front end, how are we honing those interests to make sure that, yes, these are indeed, this is the path, right? So it's, extra classes here, maybe a program or two there, leadership development, those kinds of things are happening on the front side to make sure that, this is the path, right? Again, confirming this is the path. And then it was investing with Dr. Williamson in her program to make sure that we as parents, because it was different, when we went to college, you filled out the FAFSA, you got grants, you got money. I mean, that's what we knew, right? But we also knew that there are so many scholarships and grants and other opportunities out here that we just didn't know was available to us even back then. And I didn't want my daughter to miss out. And so I knew that I didn't know. And so we made the sacrifice that we were going to make the investment. And then it was Michael, that's my daughter, and Dr. Williams. It was like, no, you will meet with her. You are going to have a conversation. You're going to give her the information. You too are going to make this investment in what we're trying to do here. Because if this is what you said that you want, then we are all as a family moving down this track. So it's not going to be like mom and dad going to do it and I'm a chill. We're all in this together.
Dr. Natasha really took my answer, because that end part, as you know, is where I live. My daughter felt like, I mean, we live well now, but we didn't always. And I think she forgot where we came from a little bit. And she kind of, she's not spoiled, but kind of entitled. Like, mom's going to do this and make sure it happens. She always do. And what I learned through Dr. Williamson, I never call you Dr. Williamson, but Coach Williamson, is that they have to make their part of the sacrifice. Like, if you want to go to this HBCU outside of Georgia, you're going to have to make some sacrifice. You're going to have to buckle down. You're going to have to, because she just expected mom is going to take care of it, because mom always does. And I learned a big, big lesson in myself, and how much freedom I gave her to just kind of, she always gets it done. But with the college apps and stuff, I think Monica said it earlier, I need to be a different kind of mom. So I have 4 children, and that middle baby that's going next, she's a freshman in high school. I was like, oh yeah, your high school is going to be totally different than Gabby's high school, my oldest, because I have to be a different type of parent. And they seem so very, what do you call it? What's the word? Independent. But they really, like Monica said, aren't. They need more hand-holding in college. And I opened the Tennessee State paper today, and I was like, this answers all my questions. See? But they need more hand-holding. You need to be more observant. It's just a different type of parenting. But my bottom line is, they have to. Not only us, not only do we need to save, and we need to be vigilant, and we need to get resources like Coach Williamson, but they have to put some skin in the game. And that's where I am with my child right now. If you want to stay at that historically Black college and have that historically Black college experience, and not this Georgia State experience that mama had, then we are going to have to together put some skin in the game. And I definitely encourage you to do that for your children. Make sure they have skin in the game too, and they earning their space and where they are. Big lesson for me.
Wow. No, I love it. Audra, were you about to go?
Yeah. So I love what Dr. Natasha said. I love what you just said. And that's so true. What I feel like is that it is definitely a part-time job for the parents to join in with their children, because even though they're mature in a lot of different areas, there are a lot of areas that they're not as mature. And so in my case, it was a situation where I felt like my daughter at a certain period of time, like I wanted it more than her. And so the end of the conclusion was, because of the situation that me and my husband was in, he's self-employed. I'm now self-employed. Our business was really booming. We were making really good money. And then that changed. When the first recession hit back in 2008, we didn't get hit until 2012. So a financial tornado season hit our lives. And so, yeah, she was like, oh, you promised me, you've been talking about this since I was in middle school, that you were going to send me off to college. And that was our plan until we looked at the numbers. She got accepted in several schools. We looked at the numbers. They did not add up. And in my heart, for what she was trying to do, I didn't have a STEM girl. So for what she was trying to do, every college that I looked at, the cheapest one, even Gordon College, that was the lowest. When I tell you, I did a whole bunch of research, and I have found a college for anybody's child at this point, but I found the cheapest college in Georgia to go to. And after we did the numbers and she got accepted, she wanted to go. At one point she was at Auburn. I was like, girl, you can throw that out the window. We can't do Auburn. It's real expensive. It's just like the UGA of Alabama. So that's totally out the window. And then we looked at several schools here. And so the conclusion of the matter was, in my heart, I did not want to sign for student loans. And the reason being is because I remember my journey of paying the student loans. And I promised myself that if I could not pay cash for what she was doing, then if she couldn't get the scholarships, because the whole thing was, girl, you better work on these scholarships if you want to go, because we need to get this number down where me and your dad can afford it. So when we start to crunch all of the numbers, Albany State, all the different schools she looked at, it didn't add up for us in the particular situation that we were in at that time. And so because we did do scholarships, right? Okay, first she was on board, rah, rah, rah. And then after a while, it was like, oh my God, mom, oh my God, you keep coming to me every day, because I was a scholarship queen, hear me. And it got to the point where she did not want to. She was exhausted. She was tired. I'm on the phone. I said, okay, I told my husband, I said, wait a minute. Now, again, if you want to go to Albany and all these other schools you're looking at, you got to put the work in. And when I saw, coupled with our situation, that she was like, chilling, I was like, oh no, that's not what we're not going to do. You're not going to chill, because you can't chill in life. So I was like, okay, sorry, you can't go off, because I'm not signing that amount of debt for the major that you're majoring in, which was education at the time. She has 2 degrees, one in education, one now in communications with a concentration in organizational leadership. My thing was, ultimate sacrifice had to be that, number one, I did not go back to work full time. Okay, we're self-employed. So in my case, we were able to do a lot of write-offs on our taxes to show a lower income. And I had a part-time job. And so she was able to qualify for some Pell Grant money, and she kept the Hope Scholarship up the whole time. She went to school from home. I wanted her to go to a major university. She did go to a major university. The cost was very cheap because she ended up having to go to school from home. That was the only option, because I refused to sign for $80,000 worth of debt. For her to come out of school with $80,000 plus the interest and all of that to start a career at that time, when her first major was education. I was like, I can't do her like that. She can't come out of college with $80,000 worth of debt going to be a teacher. And I was like, this just doesn't add up. You're going to actually owe more than you would get paid. And so it did not add up for me. And I did not want to kill her dream, because all my life I saw her as a kid setting up a classroom with teddy bears and dolls, pretending to be a teacher. And then I saw her running around my house with a microphone saying, I'm reporting live from Channel 2 Action News. So I knew it was going to be communication, broadcasting. So I knew her gifts, and she was operating in them. But I could refuse to sign for debt. And so that's how the sacrifice was for me, not to work full time. I had to come up with a strategy in order for my daughter to go to college. And then I had the part 2 was, I didn't want her to be in debt like I was. And I remember paying those student loans. And so in my heart's desire, I could not, in good conscience, I feel like student loan is the new slavery, and I could not do that to her. Starting life with a salary like what she was going to start in, and to give her $80,000 worth of debt. So my sacrifice was to not work full time in order for my daughter to be able to get to college.
Wow. I mean, there's so many things to unpack here, and I really appreciate you all for sharing, Carisha, saying, hey, thanks for the transparency. So I was trying to decide which direction I want to go in. Let's talk about school, because you all talked about, your journey, your process. Let's talk about that school piece, because I think what I call it the emotional decisions. We get caught up in the emotions of the brand of the school, the name of the school. I'm not even going to call schools out. I'm not even going to do that. But let's talk about that. How important is that, or is it really important? Because I think there's a misnomer out there that my child must go to this school in order for them to be successful.
I'll go first, because this one was easy for us. We were going where the money resides.
Okay,
straight up, point blank, period. Whoever was going to pay us to be on their college campus, that is where we were going. And I was very clear with my daughter on that. Like, so I will say she's really easy in that aspect, because she understood that. We're going to get the most money. Whoever's going to give us the most money, that is what campus we will be driving you to. That was well understood by her from the word go. So we were going, when we were going through the process, we got that first scholarship. We were like, oh, we're going to South Florida. Then we talked to Dr. Williams. We're not going to South Florida. So it was like we were on that roller coaster for quite a bit before we settled. But that's what we decided. So there wasn't, of course, there were colleges that she felt an affinity to. And if I were being true to myself at that time, I was really trying to get her at an HBCU because, you know, she's a black girl. And I'm like, yo, they doing some crazy stuff on on PWIs right now, right? And I would be that parent that you guys would see on the news. And so we did not want that for our family because, you know, we would not look good as a unit. Just saying. But that was where we were. That's what our plan was from the word go.
Awesome. Doretha?
Yeah, I think we were somewhere in the middle. My son was as I'm sure all of your children were, because they're great kids. I mean, he was a student leader on campus. So it was really important for him. I think around 8th grade, he started saying, I'm going to an HBCU. Like, okay, my husband went to an HBCU. My husband went to Hampton. I did not go to an HBCU. So, you know, we were kind of open, but we kind of took his lead on that because and you have to know your kids, right? I knew that my son is the type of person, if he is content where he is, he will excel. If it's off for him, and I went to a PWI. I felt like that's not going to be a good match for him. So we have to figure this out, especially with him being a male. So Hampton University actually gave him the best offer financially. And so we knew that Howard was really his first choice in his heart of hearts. So, you know, I got my mom heart. I'm like, oh my God, you know, how's this going to play out? And so thankfully, you know, my husband just said, look, you better get on that phone. You better talk to Howard, because if they're not trying to match, then guess where you're going to be at? You're going to be at Hampton. And so that was enough to motivate him to do whatever it took. And so it was, you know, it's not a full scholarship, but it's a great scholarship, right? I mean, and so Howard University came within $3,000, just $3,000 shy of matching what Hampton offered. So that was enough to close the gap for us to say, hey, we see your effort. We see that you put forth the effort. And then, you know, by the grace of God, other scholarships came from here, there, and yon. And then Howard got some other money. They were just dropping a little money on his account, to the point where when we got to, April should have been his last payment for second semester. I checked his portal and it was a zero balance. They had given him something else. I don't even know where. So listen, I called him up, or I texted my son and I said, look, now what I see is it says zero balance. You need to call them people and make sure I'm not reading this portal wrong. So you know, so those things like that happen too. And I think it's okay to, you know, every parent, we all have to know our kids and what is going to work for them. I just knew him well enough to know if he's somewhere that it's really he's not feeling it. And Hampton was so great to him. They did the whole Hampton Scholars Weekend. I mean, they schmoozed those kids, and I just knew he was going to fall in love. So driving home from that event that fall of 2019, he says, I didn't like it. I was like, what? You know, I was so shocked. But I think my advice to parents is know your child, number one, and have those open conversations about realistically what your family can do and what you can't do. And I feel like you got to meet somewhere, you know, in the middle. Yeah.
I honestly, I didn't go to an HBCU. I went to Georgia State University. And she was just sold on the HBCU experience, or what she thought it would be. And so she really only applied to other schools outside of that university network based on me, like to appease me. But she was set and going to an HBCU. So I was like, if you're going to an HBCU, it needs to be like an MCAT, a Howard. You know what I mean? That's the kind of HBCU, only because I have when I go on campus, everything is falling apart. The everything looks, you know, and I'm like, this is where you want to be. But she is sold. And like Doretha, I think her name is, she said her son just loves Howard, and period. Like, she fell in love with Tennessee State University and has no desire, even though it's like, this room is smaller than your room at home, like, and you're sharing. She don't care. She don't care that she have to share them showers with 8 other people. She has no, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, the bottom line for me is every freshman experience, not the experience on campus in the school culture, but the education of it is all kind of the same. It's all the basics no matter where you go. So I let her have her HBCU experience, and she is all about it. Even though they had homecoming online, she couldn't care less. She just sold on wanting that experience, and she's extremely, sorry, I know this is a mixed crowd, but pro-Black. Like, she's not racist, but she love her culture and she wants to be immersed in it. And you got to know your child. If that's where she's going to thrive, I have to be okay with it. Me, I would prefer a more multicultural setting, because I feel like the world is multicultural. You need to be able to speak and, you know, and mingle with people of all kinds of cultures. But she is set and sold on that HBCU experience. So again, I'm doing college a little bit different with my next two, you know, when I'm going to be with, you know, you on the college tour and you in the STEM program, because we're going to be doing something different this time. You got to know your kid. You got to know your kid. And I'm letting her have her HBCU broke down in the middle of, like, oh, girls, it's bad. It's bad. And I told her today, I can't wait to come into some money so I can bless Tennessee State University like someone blessed Howard University. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to give back in that way. So yeah, know your child. Let them have
No, I love it. I mean, the environment, knowing your child is so important. I've talked to parents.
That's at the top of the list.
Yeah, it should be at the top of the list, because I've talked to parents where they've sent their kids out of state, and their kids can't even handle basic business, and they're calling from out of state trying to manage business. I'm like, colleges don't want to talk to you. You're not their client. Your child must know how to advocate for themselves. They must demonstrate leadership skills, and so you shouldn't send them off somewhere where they don't know how to handle business and stuff. So you got to look at all those things. So let's. Somebody else is about to go.
Oh, I just was about to say that everything you've heard so far is true. I have 2 daughters. I have a high school senior who will also be going off to a Mississippi school that happens to be a PWI, but that's the best fit for her. The HBCU experience that my oldest has and is having is the most beneficial for her. Small classroom sizes, private United Methodist school. Mm-hmm. She likes to get involved, and my fear with her going to a larger school or PWI is getting overwhelmed with the choice of activities. And so she's where she needs to be active and involved on campus, getting involved in extracurriculars, getting one-on-one with instructors. They know her name, she knows their names, she can navigate that boat. My second child, on the other hand, she thrives better in crowds, actually. And she, will do well where she's going. And she was my child that said she'd never leave the state of Louisiana to go to school. But she fell in love with Mississippi State University. And so that's where she will be. And that's where the money resided. So it was a win-win for the both of us.
Awesome. So there was a question about scholars GPA. The question was, what was your scholars GPA? But before we respond to that, I want to set the stage, because there's a myth out there. My child is an honor roll student. They're this, they're that. So money should come falling from the skies in their pocket. School should be paid for. My child is all of this and a bag of hey, what you mean I gotta look for scholarships? What you mean I gotta put in all this work? School should just give my child money. Talk about that, because if I've made money every time I saw somebody post, well, my child is this, why ain't schools giving my child money? Yes, I said, why ain't schools giving my child money? I would probably be rich. But
the role of the guidance counselor has changed. And that is, I think, where we fall short. we were accustomed to depending on that guidance counselor to pull those smart students to the side and say, hey, this opportunity is here for you. Now they have 300, 400, 500 seniors, and they are barely doing the minimum. And really, I don't even know their role anymore, other than just keeping track of grades and sending transcripts. I got to be honest. And no offense to any guidance counselors that maybe, but this is where we are. And then you get to senior year, and with senior year coming in, it's too late. The money is gone. And the parent has waited on this opportunity to get her smart child into a great university, and she's too late. The child doesn't know. So I think what we do is we're trying to come up from behind in the race, where everybody else has started in 7th grade. We're starting in midpoint 11th grade.
Real talk.
So I think the education of scholarships and being good scholars needs to start in middle school.
Yes. I agree 110. That's actually what we're doing at Diamond in the Rough. We start as early as middle school when it comes to grooming and preparing the girls for college. We have a program called Crowns. And so I work very heavily over in Crowns, and that's one of our strongest things. I mean, I've seen a scholarship as early as kindergarten. So they're out there. You just have to keep digging, and we have to build the academic resumes. They have to get involved. And so I want to piggyback off something you said, Tamika, as it relates to the GPA. I shared with you that I have a niece that has a 4.7 GPA, and she is on her way to Howard University, but her dream school was Howard or Spelman, but her first choice, she wanted Spelman. She is on her way to Howard, but she had a 4.7, and they only gave her $1,000 at Spelman. And so that bottom line number, after hope of 6,000, 1,000 from Spelman, and then like 859 from some other small grant, her bottom line number was $82,000 for Spelman. And so Howard offered her Howard offered her $17,000. And so she's going to take that, along with of course, it's still not paid for completely, but she's getting a chance to go to her dream school. And so, and my daughter had a very decent GPA as well. And so in my case, it wasn't so much about all of that for me. Again, I told you at the beginning of my story, I also had a burden in my heart as a parent for her not to be in debt. That's why I made the bigger sacrifice of not working. And so it was a whole journey for 5 years because she went to school part-time and was working, but I was determined that she was going to finish school. And, again, she graduated with 2 degrees with no debt.
So my daughter was the valedictorian. She had a 4.3 GPA.
Wow.
And so, she did the thing. We're talking dual enrollment, AP classes. She did school. She took on school like it was a job. Wow, we're talking, mapping out, this class is going to get me here, do all of that. She took it on like it was a job. And so when it came time to, really, we started talking about scholarships, and getting scholarships and moving on to college in around about her freshman year, when she was coming talking to me about, I want to take dual enrollment classes. And I'm like, okay, what is the purpose? What are we doing this for? Right? Not just be getting off campus and, being on a college campus. No. So anyway, the scholarship journey, was surprising because I think I still had that notion that, the money's just going to fall from the sky, because who doesn't want, the brightest and the best. But then really getting down into it, like, no, you still got to apply. You might have all of these great things that say you're a great candidate, but it doesn't mean that you're the only one, right? So, I think about, Audra just said her niece had a 4.7. Well, how does that stack up against you with the 4.3 and how does that stack up, right? Mm-hmm. So you got to know how the game is played, and then decide whether you want to be in it, and then how you want to play the game. That's the key. And for a large part, we don't play the game, or we get in too late. to be effective at the game.
Tamika, the only thing that I would add is that parents and students need to understand that this process is very, very competitive. Number one, it's just straight competition. Number two, as a former educator, I will say that grades and GPA, those numbers really don't mean anything. You know, a student, you know, two kids that have the same exact effort might be a 4.0 over here and a 3.0 somewhere else, depending on the rigor, depending on, you know, the quality of that school, etc. Colleges know that. So that's why they're, you know, really not impressed with your GPA. What they're really looking at are the standardized tests, which we all now know on this side of it. Something I wish I had known a long, long time ago. And we probably would have done some things very, very differently. But I do my best to share with family members and friends, etc. You know, yes, go, you know, of course you want your child to get the best grades that they possibly can get, but the tests are what are standardized. They've been given and given and given to thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. So that's a more reliable measure on your potential and how you're going to do in college, as opposed to your, you know, your fancy GPA. So I hear the same thing from parents, and they're so excited to tell you what their child's GPA is. And while that's good, I think the bigger emphasis needs to be on test preparation, also, you know, just leadership and opportunities and getting your kids involved, because college life is really all about finding balance and being able to do well, but also being able to, you know, you're on this road of preparing yourself for real life. So I think that, you know, colleges are also looking at, you know, does this student seem like a person who can do more than one thing at a time? You know, can they walk and chew gum? You know, did they just go straight through high school and didn't join a single club, didn't play no sports at all, but they got a 4.0? You know, that it just doesn't mean anything. You know, so the emphasis, like I say, I try to remind people that the grades are just something that's really not, it's not what we think it is at all.
Yeah, it definitely varies school to school, and so that you guys know, because I don't want everybody to think that everybody out here, kids had their scholars had 4.
That's where I was going, Tamika. I was like, my baby wasn't a 4.7, but she still went to school. That's what I wanted to encourage the mom that's listening, because when I met Tamika, I was like, oh, yeah, you way over our head. I don't know what we gonna do. But she brought something out in my child for those testing that Doretha was talking about, the writing. She massaged another part of her that got her into some schools that I was like, oh, well, I'll slack. She don't have a 4.7. She don't have a 4.3. But your B student, your 3.5 student, she can still go to school and still get a quality education. And that's what I was gonna jump in and say, because Tamika, you know, we wasn't rolling like that. Now, y'all heard it. Yolanda J said it. The other two gonna have a different high school experience. But that one, I'm grateful to you for pulling out more in her to get her to see her way to college a little bit differently than that who was studious and made it a job. Like, I wish my kid, like, I made it a job when I was in school. My kids just don't have that same kind of tenacity that I had. But I wanted to thank you publicly for pulling that piece out of her. She felt so whole, and so she really felt like she could do it, because she felt like, oh, I wasted the 4 years. I just did B's and I didn't get all the A's, and maybe I can't go. But you turned a switch on in her, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you shared it, because I want everybody to hear that. Your baby don't have to be a 4.7 or 4.5. Let me tell you, I had a mother reach out to me looking for help. Her daughter had a 4.5. I want y'all to hear this, a 4.5. She got a 1350, 1350 on the SAT. The highest is 1600. Okay? She applied to 4 schools. She was denied by 3 of the 4. Georgia Tech, UGA, Emory. People, you cannot assume just because this is going to happen. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, of course they're going to accept my child. She got denied by Emory, Georgia Tech, UGA. Which school accepted her? A smaller state school here in Georgia. that was an eye-opening experience for her. But by the time that happened and they got the information, it was late in the process. This was only about end of March. So when we talk about timing, starting early, being prepared, having more options, all of those things plays a major role in this process. So we talked about GPAs. You heard them talk about leadership. You heard them talk about their portfolios. But you also got to understand the importance of starting sooner. And they talked about that to some extent. Hey, we're getting in the game late. It's hard to catch a moving target, especially one that's constantly changing, because college admissions, it was already starting to change as a result of the varsity blues scandal. Then COVID came. COVID done shook up the whole darn college admissions world. So now you have all these other changes that's still coming down the pipe. So if you hadn't started the process and now you're trying to jump on board, now you're trying to figure out, well, wait a minute. They just told me about this, but that's changing. All right, what do I need to do now? Where do I start? And you're starting late in the game, you're going to remain frustrated and stressed. And that's why you have to start early. I want to dive. I'm watching time. I want to dive a little bit more in that starting early, because Audrey talked about scholarships available as early as kindergarten. We touched on a little bit about tests, but let's talk about when we should start this process from your lessons learned, or just even from your experience, because here's another piece that people don't understand. Monica, you said it. The role of counselors have changed over the years. And so I tell families, it's not the job of the counselor to get your child college and career ready. Mm-mm. First off, understand that. Now you got to know how to advocate and work with the counselor, because Dr. Natasha, we can talk about that experience. You got to advocate and know how to work with them to get your child ready, because everybody's not going to do right by your child. So you have to be involved to make sure that happens. But the other part of this is they don't know what's happening in the world of college admissions right now. So the information they're giving your kids, that's especially been communicated to our kids of color, is wrong and misinformation. So that is also keeping us further behind. So the more you know as a parent, the more informed you are, the more you can help your child and share the information. Because right now what's happening, schools are still telling our kids, you don't apply for scholarships until you become a senior. Yep. Schools are still telling our kids, you don't have to worry about taking the ACT or SAT yet. You just wait until you become a junior, half of the junior year when the district pays for it, or your senior year. So let's talk about that. What was one of your aha moments or lessons learned around that whole piece of test prep?
Well, I'll start. Okay, and like I said, if as that old song says, if I knew then what I know now, however it goes. But I remember, when my son was in middle school, and he had different interests and stuff, and we were sending him to this camp and that camp and filling up his summer with all of his interests. And I'm happy we did some of that stuff, because it helped him to figure out what he didn't want to do. And, now I think he's on a pretty good path about what he thinks he wants to do. But what I would have added to the mix, seriously would have added some test prep, even if it was just a test prep workshop, test prep course, a mini course, something that he could handle, developmentally. I wouldn't, spend his whole summer doing test prep, but I would have added that to the roster of things, because we really didn't grasp on to how important that was. So that, his first time taking the test, the first time you take any kind of test, it's really about figuring out, well, what's this test going to feel like? How stressful is it? How long is it? Just figuring out your own endurance to it, as opposed to the content. But when you go in so late, you're having to focus on both things, the test itself and the content. And now it's just a very, very stressful situation. So my advice would be, find some age appropriate test prep kinds of workshops, seminars, courses, or something, as early as middle school, so that when they take it the first time, if you want to do the first round in ninth grade, they're just getting used to it, so that when it really matters, it's like, okay, I've taken this thing 4 times. I'm comfortable now with the format of it, and now I can really just focus on improving my content knowledge.
The aha moment for me was with thanks to the 100 Black Men of Greater Baton Rouge, that every year, twice a year actually, in the spring and in the fall, they have a test prep for boys and girls ages 9th grade to 12th grade. And they keep the data, and I think they have a grant or something, but somehow I didn't get the communication that Maya was too young to participate. And I enrolled her, and she was in 7th grade. And I knew the guy that was kind of fostering the program at the time, and he said, because we have it on a college campus, because the study sessions were at Southern University in Baton Rouge, he said it's a liability for her to be so young and on the campus, and I can't guarantee someone will be with her, during those hours. So I understood that, and that was fine with me. He said, but I tell you what, when we do the practice test, bring her back. And that was pivotal moment for me when the scores came back, and I think she 7th grade, and she scored a 17. And that was significant. That gave us a baseline for which to, go from a springboard. So with that, she felt comfortable sitting for the exam. She knew what kind of questions to expect. And what I did was we set for the exam once a year until she got a score decent enough, which was around 9th or 10th grade. It didn't take long, but we did not have that to worry about in 12th and 11th grade, even though the district provided the 11th grade exam. She sat for it, but it was of no consequence because, we had the score we needed to move forward with applying for colleges and getting a decent scholarship or funding offer.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I don't want this, because I can go left, so y'all reel me in. So let's just establish right now that testing is a racket. It is biased. And the test is not made for our kids. I know that's a blanket statement. I said what I said.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I think about testing, and I think about it in a myriad of ways, so our kids are tested really fairly young, from at least, first grade on, right? They have these standardized tests that are supposed to tell us things about the level of our kids' intelligence and so on and so forth, whether they test in the gifted and all those other things. On the other side of that, the game, as I was talking about earlier, that we jump into late is that, so the thing I didn't know is that, you could have had your kid in those test prep classes for gifted, when they're 6. And so the same thing happens when we're talking about doing SAT, ACT, whatever else tests for colleges and for whatever else they're going to try to do. And so again, we are late to the game. So this is one of those, I want to take the opportunity so that people know that, like, you can if you want your kid in gifted classes, they don't even have to be gifted. They just got to pass the test. Like, that's the racket. That's the deal. You can put your kid in classes so that they learn how to pass the test. That's the thing about the ACT and the SAT. There's certain percentages. You get higher here, you get higher there. The average score gives you the score you need. It's a racket. And so we need to know what that is. We need to understand it so that we can explain it to our kids in a way that it sort of takes the bigness of it away, but at the same time so that they understand what it is and what it is not. Because I think sometimes we make these tests so big that it provides the kids this opportunity to make it a big thing, and it test anxiety, all that stuff, which we know affects test results.
Yes.
So I'm saying all that is we as parents, as the adults, have to know and understand what the game is and how to play it right for our kids.
And the other part from a game perspective, you have the PSAT.
Yes.
Mm.
I was going to speak to that.
Yeah. Who was that? I'm gonna let you speak to that, because that's another game. We as people, we gonna keep it real. People of color, we miss out on because we don't understand how they're playing it and how they intentionally leave us out of the process. Yeah, I said what I said. Audra, you was gonna say something about it.
Yeah, I was going to say that helped my daughter out a lot because she went to a charter school through middle school. And so they pushed it very hard. They were pushing college so hard at this charter school. So they were going hard for PSAT and really preparing the girls. And that's what gave my daughter kind of like a head start, because they did test them every single year for the PSAT. And it kind of gave us, as parents, we could see the progress. And, like her first test versus the third one that I saw, like she just got better and better. And so if I had not, I made the decision to pull her out of our school district, even though I'm in a great district, but I wanted her to get a different experience at the charter school. So it made a world of difference. A lot of the impartation from the charter school, I believe, had a lot to do with her success today. So it's very important. And they need to explain it. Like a lot of people get the test scores and it's more stuff, it's more in depth. Like some of that stuff, it was like over my head, they really need to give a class or a follow-up on breaking down. Like you got the, the bottom line thing, but it's like, what's this? What's that? How did you get to this? So I think if it was explained better, even though my daughter did well, I think also there is a problem with the explanation of the test. It could be quite confusing.
Yeah, I think not only that, most people don't even understand what the PSAT is for.
Exactly.
They don't understand the purpose of it. They don't understand the importance of it. And I get parents who confuse PSAT with the regular SAT and ACT. They think, well, my child took the PSAT, so they already got their college entrance exam. No, those are two different things. PSAT is the one of the big things that PSAT does is it determines national merit scholars.
Mm-hmm.
It determines national merit scholars. National merit scholars is an opportunity for students to get money to help pay for college. But what folks don't realize is the PSAT score that's used to determine national merits is the score acquired during the junior year.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes.
What happens is they test your child early, 9th grade and 10th grade year, because what they're doing is they are establishing a bench of students who hit the qualifying 1 percentile ranking, so that they will be the ones who sit junior year, and everybody else don't get told or don't get invited to sit, because the school, it becomes part of their metrics, part of their grading system in terms of the number of students and how they score their junior year, because that's the year when the score actually counts.
Exactly.
So when you start getting into the politics around, and because like here in Georgia, the National Merit Scholars are published in the AJC. And if you go back and just look at the publications over the years, there's certain areas where those National Merit Scholars always come from.
Mm-hmm.
They come from the same set of schools, same areas, and rarely do you see the brown babies on that list. But so one of the things we always try to make sure our juniors know, you go and have the conversation and tell the counselor you want your child to take it, because they're not going to automatically tell you. they will oh, you want them to take it? Okay, well, it costs this amount. It's only what, $22, $25 is not a whole lot of money. But make sure your child understand the importance of it and see it as a vehicle to also get money for college. So if we change our perspective in how we approach things and repurpose it, it becomes that much more palatable. As Dr. Natasha was saying, we got to, Audra, we got to explain it to them. They got to understand the purpose of it. That's the purpose. But the other part of it is, hey, this could lead you to scholarships, because schools have money earmarked just for national merit scholars. Even if you were honorable mention, some schools have money allocated for students, just the fact that you got honorable mention. So you gotta advocate for your kids. So I know time is moving, and I want to be respectful of your time. If there's one thing, when you think about parents right now, where they are at, some get ready to send their babies off to college. Some are still in the process. They're about to have a senior or a junior. If you can share one piece of wisdom, what would that be?
Me?
Okay.
I would say hire a coach like you, Tamika. Point blank, period. Like, I mean, I knew how to do a lot of this, but I would say that, people perish because of lack of knowledge, and they need to start early on. Some people don't even know in certain zip codes that there's such a thing. And one of my passions is, I grew up in DeKalb County. And so when I think about how they do the kids in DeKalb County, it really bothers me, but then there's money out here that they don't really promote. Like State Farm gave, like, I think it was over $15 million to Georgia State, which was amazing, the 2-year campuses. And so they can only get that money in those for those 3 locations. But it's so important to me that they need to get a scholarship coach just like you, because again, people perish because of lack of knowledge.
And to piggyback on that, they also need to be prepared to sit for these standardized tests. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a plug for who we and Kim couldn't be on because of connectivity issues. Kim Knight, she plugged me into Ms. Valencia Bell in Mobile, Alabama. She specializes in test preparation, and it can be one-on-one, virtual. They had to pivot during COVID because Kim was riding to Mobile, Alabama on the weekends from Zachary, Louisiana, and that's a hump. Because he's just that good. So if you have a pen and pencil, her number is 251-382-4969. 251-382-4969. And so my second daughter, my youngest daughter, wanted to be in a 30+ club. She was not satisfied with the score of 24. When she finished the 6-week test prep, she scored a 29.
Wow.
So that's a testament to the progress that's made with the rigors of her. She has a very unique method and technique. So
Monica, I'm sorry, I was typing in the chat for you.
Oh, the name of her business is Schools, plural, Program. Schools Program, Valencia Bell.
Okay.
And you can inbox her on Facebook if you like. And she also has a website, Schools Program.
Just to piggyback on that, I would agree. There are just too many resources out here for us to be, trying to be Lone Ranger and, stabbing around in the dark. And we really, we can just do so much better for our children. And, one of my favorite scriptures is that the latter house shall be greater than the former. I'm just a strong believer that, we know better when we do better when we know better. So we need to take advantage of the opportunities and the resources that are available. I agree. Hire a coach. I'm again, been an educator and all that kind of good stuff. But when it comes to your own child, I felt like I just needed to outsource this to somebody else to manage this, because You know, I had my strong opinions. My husband had his strong opinions. I got a strong opinionated kid. It was like, hey, I need another person to just manage this project for me, you know? And that's what, you know, Tamika, that's the benefit that she brought to my family, is it was something I didn't have to try to figure out how to navigate this all on our own. Same goes for tours. You know, my company does college tours, and we try to emphasize to people it's like trying on shoes. Don't assume that just because it's where you went, your mama went, and everybody else went, that that's where your child is going to, that it's not going to be the necessarily the best fit for your child. They are their own person. And so I always encourage people to think back about your own experience, you know, where you went to school and how that choice was made within yourself. You know what that felt like, and think about how you would feel if somebody was just pushing a certain, you know, decision on you without really respecting you, you know, and your needs and your personality and what it's going to take for you to be successful, because that's really what it's about, you know, finding the right fit. So my advice is just research, ask people questions, you know, find out who other people are using, network, and take advantage of the opportunities and resources that are out there for us.
And share.
Yep.
I will say I got two things. I have advocacy and empowerment. I think it's always best if parents are advocates. We have to be advocates for our kids, because of course they don't know, and if we don't know, then nobody knows, right? So it's our job to do the research, like Doretha and Audra and everybody else have been saying. Do the research, but also be the advocate for your kid. If your kid is telling you, I want to do this, or I want to be in this program, or I want to take this, and, you know, at the very least, call the school, talk to the guidance counselor, talk to the you gotta advocate. You gotta be your child's advocate, because sometimes true T moment is that they're talking loud, but ain't nobody listening. And so they need somebody in their corner, and who better than their parent who's hearing the stuff. So you got to be your child's advocate. On the other side of that, the other side of advocacy, which is forward facing, you got to empower your child to use their voices in ways that can be heard. You know, maybe it's not rolling up in the counselor's office during their lunch hour saying, I want to take a test. Maybe it's, hey, how about you send it an email? So let's practice on how to craft this email, or how to write that letter, so that they can be an advocate for themselves in spaces that you don't have the opportunity to be in. Empower them so that they know that they can do those things, that they have the tools that are already, that exist within them to be their own advocate. So you have to do both. And especially when we're talking about going to college, being in college, sort of starting the adulting journey, it's all a part of that.
Last but certainly not least, I think it is imperative to start early. Start having conversations with your child in middle school. I was talking to my oldest daughter from elementary school about what we wanted to do when we grow up. You know, starting those dialogues about, and having those conversations with your kids over time, so you know if college is the route that they need to go to, or is it going to be a trade? Mine only got two choices. You're going to either go to college or you're going to get a trade, either one. You know, but knowing your child is a big part of that. And then just starting their habits early, like middle school, the study habits and what you need to do, and the practice for the standardized, all of that needs to start way before freshman year. It's unfortunate, but because we are taxed and have to work a little bit harder, we got to start a little bit earlier. And it's important to be paying attention. Life is happening, especially right now. 2020 and 2021, life is happening, but we can't lose sight that our babies in 4 years are going to, you know, into college, right? That's where I am right now. I can't lose sight of trying to run this business and trying to make this money so much that I'm not paying attention to the things that I need to pay attention leading up to, because then I'll be stuck again junior year trying to figure it out. And I'm not doing that. And I will say, just listening to you ladies, just grabbing the resources that they're throwing out. I'm like, you mentoring women, you mentoring STEM, I need you. I already talked to my daughters about One wants to be a doctor, one wants to be an actress, and I'm not for the actress. I'm very A-type, but I'm like, whatever she wants to do, I'm going to, try to feed into her passion, because she could be the one to just take me off of everything. I don't have to work, and you never know. So I'm going to feed into her passion, but I'm instilling in them that the academic part of it, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a Black woman in STEM, your science and math grades need to be top notch. So we talk about those. So I guess what I'm saying is have the conversations with your babies. And if college isn't the way, just make sure you take them on to a trade that's going to make some money too. Because we even play the game of life. I don't know if you guys do that, have game nights or anything. We play the game of life, and they have to pick trade or go to college, and how much money that, and then we have those conversations, whatever it is to have those conversations. And last and certainly not least is the college coach. She ain't pay us to say this, I swear, but the college coach was imperative for me. Again, I have a zillion balls in the air from other aspects of my life, and she just kind of streamlined that one for me, and I didn't have to worry about what am I missing, what deadlines am I missing, what did I don't know. And just tapping into that Coach Tamika resource was amazing. So if you don't know, now you know. Tap into it, and don't wait too late.
Man, I mean, I hope you all took notes. I hope you all are walking away with some actionable steps, because they gave you enough meat to now you have home. You should have homework. You should have homework. So I hope you are. I hope you're going to apply it, because for these ladies to take the time out of their busy schedules, out of their day, to share this wisdom and insight with you, so that you can start on a stronger, have a stronger footing going forward with your scholars. Guys, people aren't always open to share information. So I'm so eternally grateful that they was like, yeah, we'll do this. So please take heed of the information they're sharing. There was a question. I'm going to talk about it, but in the interim, because I want to make sure people can follow each of you, because you all can put in the chat. Please put your information in the chat, how people can find you, how people can connect with you. Because like we said, they have a variety of business. They're going to connect. There's opportunities for them to connect with one another. I mean, put your kids in. I love Diamonds in the Rough. I'm probably a little biased, but I love Diamonds in the Rough. I love everything that these ladies are doing. So take advantage. Look at what they're doing. Hey, model it, whatever you got to do. But these are resources. There was a question that came. Okay, let me go. There was a question that came about shared parenting environments. Now, I may have to answer this one, but the question is, for those who are in a shared parenting environment, how did that communication work in your decision process, especially when it comes to filling out the FAFSA and making a decision in a school, etc.? I don't know if anybody can really answer this, because this isn't really most of your stories. But what I will say is this: when you have families, you have divorced families, separated families, those type of situations. One of the things I will definitely say is, if you're separated and you're not legally divorced, you definitely want to look at getting some type of legal documentation in place that outlines what you're doing. And let me just kind of share quickly what that means, because I was trying to help one of our scholars when I was working with one of the organizations I was their college coach for. The parents were legally separated. They never got a divorce. But when it came to college time, the college is like, hey, it was Vanderbilt. What's the dad doing? Where's their money? That he can cover the rest of this balance. And so, because they didn't have a legal parental agreement, I think is what they called it, and this is a legal document the attorneys have to put together, the school was not motivated to award any additional money, because y'all got to keep in mind, there are people who game the system. So they are trying to mitigate those people from getting money and they don't deserve it. So make sure your paperwork is in order. But on the surface of how that is looked at, the parent the child spends 51% of their time with is who should be carrying them on their taxes, and that is who will complete the FAFSA. So the other parent, they may ask about the other parent, but if that parent is not involved, there are things you can do to prove and make sure that is clear. But as much as possible, I would say have some type of legal documentation. Don't wait till your child become a senior to put this in place. Have a legal documentation in place that outlines, what that parental agreement is. Hey, they're going to be involved, they're not going to be involved, whatever the case is. But the bottom line is this: whoever that child spends 51% of their time with, that's who the school is looking at and looking to when it comes to income, when it comes to funding, when it comes to the FAFSA. So hopefully that gave you some insight on how to move forward with that piece.
I will say this, I'm a divorced mom, so I'm single right now, and I didn't have any issues. I think that's another conversation that needs to happen before senior year as well, if it's possible. And definitely it would have probably been more beneficial for him to be claiming her all of these years too, because my business, expounded, and I didn't get any aid for her based on finances. So it's something, every aspect of this you need to be thinking about ahead of time, because it probably would have been best for him to claim her for the last 3 years or whatever. But conversations and keeping it open, I didn't have any problems having that conversation and just keeping him up to date as things were happening. But so hopefully it's that easy for you too, whoever asked that question. But it definitely was all on me, my FAFSA submissions, my tax returns. And then after the fact, we were like, I make more than him. That would have been beneficial for us to, So think about those things, because you can't switch it senior year to say, oh yeah, that's his responsibility. It's something you need to be doing like freshman year for him to claim her. And do you really want to do that for the next 4 years? So you got to think about all of those things and what's going to be best for your family. I really would say put all personal stuff aside, so the best interest of that baby is at heart, and they can thrive, and don't have to worry about the debt Audra talked about, so do whatever's best and put your personal stuff aside. But it worked out fine, just keeping him updated. I just wish I would have let him claim her. I'm just saying. We ain't getting no money. It can work though. It can work.
It can work now. And hear what she said. You can't wait to senior year to do that. Because let me tell you, financial aid, your FAFSA is determined 2 years in the rear. So the year your child becomes a freshman in college, just go back 2 years. That is the first year. That's the tax year they're going to use to determine your child's financial aid. So this is another example of why you can't wait till your child become a senior to start thinking about how we going to pay for college and how we going to do college. Because you can't start changing documents at that time, because what's going to happen is you're going to be pulled for an audit, and
you going to jail is what you
Well, yeah, I didn't want to go quite there, but you can go to jail for falsifying and trying to manipulate the system. So make sure your stuff is legal.
Tamika, I did want to share a resource with Yolanda. Did you say your baby wanted to be an actress? Okay. I can't hear you, but one resource is YEA Ensemble in Atlanta.
See, that's what it's about. Sharing those resources.
I got this paper and pen ready because I got to talk to Dr. Natasha. I got to talk to Audra, Doretha. I just got a list, so I got a blank piece of paper.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Miss Bell chimed in. She was able to watch us talk together this evening. So she has a message in the inbox with all of her website information and the telephone number. Thank you, Miss Bell.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. So y'all take advantage of all this. I know there's so many more things we could have gotten into. We didn't talk about careers and all that stuff, but hey, you know what? We gave you some good stuff. We can't give you everything. So I'm just going to say, you guys, thank y'all for joining us. This is where now you take this information, you go dive deeper. You go dive deeper because you're going to have to put in that sweat equity yourself. So make sure you do that. We're going to sign out. Remember, the time to be ready is not the time to get ready. Take this information, use it to position your child to stay ready, because that's the only way they're going to be able to pivot quickly to take advantage of opportunities that come their way. Because otherwise, you're going to keep chasing a moving target and you're never going to be able to catch it, which means you're going to always stay behind. And we don't want our kids, we don't want your kids to stay behind because it's too much at stake. There's too many opportunities out here and they need to be in position to take advantage of it. So learn how to put your child in position to stay ready. So thank you, ladies, again. Everybody stay safe. Until next time, to the next time we talk again, this is your college prep boss, hoping that you will take this and move to the next level, because it's all about getting a debt-free education, but you got to put in the work, that sweat equity, and you got to do some preparation to start sooner. So Miss Valencia, she put, check out the Duke Tip program. That's an awesome program, but your child has to be at a certain level of academics to really take advantage of it. It's great exposure. It's something to look at, but there's tons of programs out there. So just start looking, start researching, and start putting your kids intentionally in programs that's going to carry them further. Okay? Put them in programs that's going to take them further. Audra?
One more recommendation. When it comes to your kids, and we talk about personalities, I don't know if you guys have ever used the 16 personalities test, but it's really good to get the assessment on your child, of course, yourself. And it's really, really, really good. And if you pay for the additional membership, you'll get even more information. But the 16 personalities, my whole family has taken a test. But it's really, really good. You can kind of understand what type of child you have and how to work with them on different parts of their life. And so it's really a good resource.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give a resource because I remember when Yolanda first shared the game of life and how she plays it with her kids and how she uses it to stem that conversation around just looking forward at life and managing life and expenses and all those things that come with it. This is a tool we use in one of our coaching programs, our after school program. It's called the reality check. I first came across it years ago. I think it was called the Texas reality. Texas has their own, but then there's another one, I think it's called reality check. It's a great tool to start the conversation, to get your child to start understanding the value of money and the value of life in adulting, because our kids have these big aspirations. I want this nice car, I want my own place. Y'all know how we were when we were kids. I can't wait till I'm grown and on my own. All right, well, let's see what that looks like. Because I did it the other week with the kids and they were like, oh, wait a minute, we're going to have to cut some things back. I got to pay that kind of money every month. Wait a minute, I got to pay taxes on this. It's a great way to have that conversation. And it's a great way to start bridging the gap between what you can do, what reality looks like, what you can do, and what their dreams and aspirations are concerning college. And it can help you have that conversation a lot more easier in a way that's less intimidating, because now they're starting to think, well, wait a minute, what makes sense? It's also a great tool to use when it comes to careers. Like I said, we didn't get into careers, but I talked about how, okay, getting $80,000 worth of debt for an education degree, that just don't make dollars and cents. So that is a tool you can use to have them look at, hey, based on your decisions, you need to make this amount of money each month, and this amount of money each month translates into these careers. If you don't see the career that you want on there, and the career you want is going to make less than that, then we got to have a conversation, because what you're looking to go into is not going to yield the lifestyle you want to live. So take advantage. These are free tools you can use to try to help have those conversations. So I think we gave y'all a lot of resources, and we went over. So it's up to you to now take it and run with it. So Coach T signing out. Guys, stay safe. See you soon.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye. Thank you.